I've been single for 6 years now. And not the kind of single where you're secretly hoping someone will swoop in and change your mind. I mean, deliberately, intentionally, and peacefully single. And I'll tell you this, I've never felt more grounded, more whole, or more in tune with myself than I do now. My name is Shanda, and welcome to In the Deep End.
Made a video that went viral recently about how women are prioritizing peace over low-grade, low-effort relationships with men. And the number one comment that I got from men was, well, fine, if you can live without us, we're just not going to protect you anymore. So first of all, who exactly are you protecting us from? Is it Sarah that we're afraid is going to break into our home and assault us? Or is it men? Is it men that you're protecting us from? Secondly, when women say that we'd rather have peace and safety, we're not talking about physical safety. We're talking about emotional safety. The reason there is an epidemic of lonely, depressed men is because women would rather be alone than in an emotionally unsafe relationship. I feel that we're in emotional danger when we can't be vulnerable and express how we feel, or being constantly criticized or put down or ignored. For all the men run to the comments and say, well, we want to be valued too. Yes, and you deserve that. But why are 72% of divorces initiated by women? And why statistically are women thriving in singledom and men are not? It is because women en masse are willing to put in the work, be self-reflective, and do what it takes to show up, and men simply are not.
Just to be clear, this isn't a man-bashing video. This is not about blaming or attacking men as individuals. I have no desire to do that. It's about recognizing a pattern that's become increasingly obvious. Men are often culturally conditioned to be selfish in relationships. Many are taught, whether directly or through subtle reinforcement, that women exist to support them, serve them, and stabilize their lives while offering little in return, emotionally or mentally. This isn't personal, it's systemic. And once you see the pattern, especially after living through it, you can't unsee it. The video is simply an honest reflection on that realization and the decision to choose peace over participating in dynamics that more often than not leave women emotionally drained and depleted. I'll tell you a little of my story. I've been married twice. And I have experienced love connections and partnerships. And I must say, though, I'm not a fan. Now, that's not to say I don't believe in love. I do. But I've just learned relationships tend to be not reciprocal. The woman ends up giving more than she actually has, with not much in return. For me, my first marriage was when I was just 19. I was young and optimistic and deeply in love, or so I thought. He was the father of my first son, but within 2 years, he left us, me and our baby, completely on our own, broke and in eviction. I'll never forget it. After dropping him off at the airport to go visit his mother in Chicago to ask for help and assistance, which he never came back from. And you know what, you guys? The car broke down on my way back, and I was left on the side of the freeway. I was barely more than a girl myself, suddenly having to carry the full weight of motherhood and survival. Thank God for my mom. We wouldn't have made it otherwise. Many years later, I married again at 38. That marriage lasted 12 years. And to be fair, it wasn't all bad. It had comfort and familiarity. But over time, I started realizing the entire relationship revolved around him. His goals, his needs, his career, and his dreams. I disappeared into the role of caretaker, emotional anchor, life organizer, nurse. And the more I gave, the more that was expected of me. It all came into painfully sharp focus when I lost my oldest son. That kind of grief rewires your entire being. I had nothing left to give anyone. Not emotionally, not mentally, not spiritually, nothing. Nothing. And in that empty space, I had a realization I couldn't ignore. When you no longer have anything to give, most people will go and find it elsewhere. No matter the vows, the years, or the circumstances. If you're not producing emotionally or practically, you're simply replaced. That realization woke me up and pushed me to ask the question, what was it all for? What is it all worth? At that time, I was depositing into this account, if you will. And when I needed to withdraw, there was a negative balance. So since then, I've intentionally chosen peace, not passively, but actively. I work really hard to protect that peace, to nurture my health, to make my home and mind a sanctuary. I've had several opportunities to date since then, Men have approached me and asked me for my number. Some were kind, charming even. But the thought of dating again just spooked the hell out of me. The energy it requires, the emotional risk, the constant wondering whether I'll be truly seen for me and who I am. It all felt so heavy and unnecessary. So I declined gracefully, not because I'm bitter, but because I'm just not interested. Some of you might think that's kind of sad, but it's just the truth. Now let's be honest, okay? If it were guaranteed that I'd be treated like a full person with thoughts, opinions, emotional needs, and intellect that would be valued, then yes, of course, I jump at the opportunity. Who wouldn't want that? But sadly, experience has taught me that that's rarely the case. What usually happens is you end up in a relationship that's utilitarian in nature. You become the support system, the peace, the fixer, the unpaid therapist, the planner, the constant source of emotional labor. And slowly, without realizing it, you shrink and you shrink and you shrink to a point where you don't even recognize yourself anymore. So when people say, oh, you're just old and bitter, I smile, because the truth is you just haven't seen what I've seen. You haven't lived through what I've lived through. You haven't been expected to hold up entire relationships while your own needs are ignored and unmet. And that's okay. I mean, I don't blame anybody for their ignorance. You don't know what you don't know. Then there's the classic jab men like to throw out, like, you're gonna die alone and miserable, as if that's the worst possible outcome. As if dying alone is somehow more terrifying than living every day in the company of someone who depletes you, ignores you, or doesn't value or appreciate you. I'd rather die alone and in peace than live with someone who constantly chips away at my spirit, my joy, and my worth. You know, they also say things like, you'll just be a cat lady. Well, I don't have a cat, but I do have the most loving pup you could imagine. And you know what? That dog has offered me more unconditional love, consistency, and warmth than most men I've encountered in my lifetime. I'm not ashamed of that. I am grateful to have her. What people don't realize is that being single and happy takes a little extra planning. For example, you have to plan for your retirement, long-term care in the event you become ill, etc. It also takes self-awareness. It takes creating a life that fills you up. You need a support system, community, passion projects that you are excited about, stillness, purpose. And when you have those things, you don't feel lacking in any way. I don't feel empty. You know, it's funny. When I was married for all those years, I was more alone than I am now. I felt like I was a piece of the furniture. Just there, a part of the household. I feel like a person now. I feel fulfilled now. I feel full. Not because I've shut down, but because I've finally stopped pouring into places that never pour back. Sure, I mean, there are moments I miss companionship. Having someone to talk politics with you or bounce things off of, someone to share a late night laugh with, or to just sit in silence and feel understood, Sure, I miss those things. But the cost has been too high for too long. And I'm no longer willing to bankrupt my peace for the idea of love. If someone, if someone comes along who adds peace, who values emotional reciprocity, who sees me as a whole person and not a utility, I'll listen. Yeah, I'll be open. But I won't wait for it. And I definitely won't settle for less than what I need just to avoid someone else's label of me dying alone. Because the truth is, I've never been more alive to chase my dreams, to fulfill myself. I've never been more joyful and more at peace. So, to the women out there who feel the same, you are not alone. You're not wrong. You're not bitter and you're not jaded. You're wise. You've earned your peace. And you don't owe anyone an apology for choosing it. Thank you guys again for watching. And if there are any other ladies out there that have found their peace, put peace in the comment section. I know I'm not alone out there. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys on the next one.
What advice would you give your younger self?
To never marry. To never marry. I think that I could have done all the things that I have done without a man. When my 2 husbands and my father all died within 3 months. And I found myself Betty, because I was no longer Betty Charbonnet, no longer Betty Reed. I was no longer defined by someone else's name.